All right, so I'm going to introduce these fine gentlemen here in just a second, but we're in Little Rock, right?
Yes.
Here we are in Little Rock. It's a fantastic place. No one else needs to move here. We're just going to keep it all to ourselves. This is where I moved to. I want to introduce you to a very long time friend of mine, Dr. Travis Taylor, who's the Instructional Technology Specialist, Little Rock School District. Woo! Everybody,
Thank you.
I've known Travis, believe it or not, like 15 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and you and I have known each other like 5 minutes now. Like,
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome.
And it's been an exceptional relationship.
Yes, it's been really good so far. Dr. Maurice Guest, Jr., Director of School Improvement and Educator Effectiveness, Little Rock School District. That sounds like they're probably piling a lot on you because it's a wide angle job category.
You're very wise.
Yeah?
You're very wise. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So introspective. Wow. How could you tell?
Yeah, let's give this guy a really big title with a lot that could fall under it so we can just use him as a dumping ground. Is that what it kind of feels like?
No, it's not a dumping ground. It's been a great experience, but it's a lot of work, but it's good work. Good work.
Good. Well, it's certainly a big, high, tall order. School improvement today, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been talking about that a lot the whole time we've been here this morning, right? Like, how do we improve? Where is the direction of the world going? What about being human? What about AI? What about AI that you could keep private? It's been a lot of topics. But I think what I want you to start with first is what are you most proud of? What are you proud of? Like right now, like things are going well.
I would be most proud of our teachers. For the past 2 years, there's been a huge shift towards just new, engaging, and innovative teaching practices, from turn and talks to academic labs to quick writes, like truly getting our students engaged. And our teachers are doing the work. Our next phase, and it's promising, is HQIM, like true fidelity with using high quality instructional materials. And we're coming a long way with that as well. So I'm proud of our teachers and the principals who have to make sure that all of that work happens in the classroom.
Execution.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
That's really great. I like that. All right, Travis, what do you think you're proud of right now?
I would have to say that the work that we have and the relationship that we have with our building technology specialists and library media specialists, because really this has been a sustaining feature of all of our technology integrations and support throughout the years, from our one-to-one through smartboard integrations, through all the changes, from changing SIS. This group has always been actually the foundation for the professional development and support that goes on in the buildings. And so it's very important because there's so many shifts in technology. And a lot of times you really have to, it's hard a lot of times building capacity. Mm-hmm. And when there's shifts. And so this group has always maintained it's been their experience, their willingness to learn new things. Mm-hmm. And so it's really made the job a whole lot easier in a sense, because they're willing. We meet regularly with myself and then with Ms. Neal. The fact that so many of our library media specialists and technology specialists, even the ones that may say, hey, I'm not that familiar with technology, or I'm a little, have some reservations, but they try. They try and they come to us, and we have meetings. We have professional development so that everybody is on the same page.
Right.
And so I think that has been one of the things that I think has been allowed us to maintain what we've been doing in the district of work.
Also, good. Execution. So these are these ladies are all your wide receivers, essentially, right? Like you got to throw the ball, you got to make a touchdown. They're the ones who catch it. But let me use another analogy, because I thought this was really fun earlier today. Is when we were talking about AI orchestration, the next level, not literacy, but fluency.
Yes, ma'am.
I talked to some of your library media specialists and essentially said they're the future of AI, because they have to hold the line on libraries, because they are the physical experience of acquisition of knowledge. Now let me paint the picture for you, because I want you to both comment on this. If your mind is structured to go, there's a book, and you can sort of walk in that mental model in your mind. There's a this, there's a that. I need to go to that person to ask for this, right? The librarian or whoever. You've actually constructed in your mind a place of orchestration of the combinations of knowledge and how to do it, which is what AI does.
Okay.
Okay, it goes out and gets this, and gets this, and gets this, da da da. If we don't continue to have that physical experience for the little humans, they won't learn to do that, and AI will do it. I think this is a critical thing to communicate. In fact, probably some of you gals, I want to work on an article with you sometime later this year when I'm done with the tour, and really do something positive about why the library experience is so critical, because that's what we need to build. They're not going to be users of AI, they're going to be orchestrators of the sourcing of knowledge to come together to build knowledge. That is a very different thing than chatbotting, right? Okay, so what's your comment on that, Maurice?
Let me, number one, clarify what you said in
Okay.
terms of to make sure that we want to protect the library experience. So the experience of going to this huge room, this beautiful room, where there's tons of books, and knowing that knowledge is in all those books along those shelves,
Yeah.
and the experience of checking out that book or even spending time in that room reading. And if we don't emphasize that, AI will find a way, or some type of technology platform will find a way to replace that, and that experience might die. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and because it does, the human mind loses the ability of that walking through and sourcing and picking out and ingesting and comparing with
Instead,
another.
AI will feed it to us.
Yes.
Got you. So I agree, of
Good.
course. I want to make sure that students, teachers, adults, everybody have a certain level of agency in terms of, and curiosity, which we were discussing earlier, or finding things that piques our interest instead of always being falling prey to the algorithms. This is what you're interested in. This is what you're interested in. We see that going on with social media now. So you're right. I hadn't thought about that, not even close, but protecting certain environments, certain institutions, certain spaces for exploration and making sure students understand that this is important. But it's up to us to protect that. I had never thought about that.
Yeah, it's like that movie, remember the wax on, wax off? You guys remember the movie I'm talking about, Karate Kid?
Karate Kid.
He's like, why am I doing this? Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax on. And then he finds out later the reason he was doing it is he was creating a memory that made his body do that automatically. That's what I think a library experience is in the age of AI. It's a human faculty or skill. But you have to physically experience it first before your mind builds the structure.
Is it tied in with curiosity?
It's all Karate Kid. No, I don't know. I was just kidding. Yeah, I think it is. But Karate Kid was very much, I'm curious why am I doing
No,
this?
not the analogy or the example that you
library?
used. The library experience that you're talking about. Is it about protecting curiosity?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. But we didn't like it when we had to learn the card catalog. We all thought that was the dumbest thing ever. Card catalog, right? Dewey Decimal System. What the heck? But it made sense of our world in other ways. I think. Didn't it? I think it did. Travis, what do you think?
Well, I would have to say that for all the conversation that we're having about knowledge, we have to consider the quality of the knowledge that we're getting.
Yeah.
And I think, just because you can amass knowledge doesn't mean that knowledge is good. It's just like data, how the quality of the data. And I think the other part of the conversation about particular library media is that they also teach us how to curate, how to critically think about the knowledge that we're getting, how we disseminate that knowledge, what are going to be the effects of the decisions that we make with the knowledge. And so I think this is why I said early on, I was last year, a couple of years ago, I was presenting at AIM, and I said, we need library now more than ever because we've got to be able to filter through all of this information. And we already have a system set in place. And now is not the time. We should be leaning into it because we're going to have it with AI. Because I think there was something that you put we were reading this morning is that the AI doesn't give the emotion, but it gives the simulation of emotion, and it's going to give the simulation of knowledge. And we've seen that with hallucinations. That's knowledge. It's not necessarily, it's not correct, but it's still knowledge. And so I think we have to differentiate between really look at the quality of the knowledge and that's what our libraries offer us.
Yeah. Did we all love that? Woo! That was awesome. Good. I really like that. So that's one of our takeaways from today. What else are you wanting to take away from today? Why don't you go first this time? We'll come around this way.
I really think that looking at the aspect of focusing on the human and not eclipsing the human from this conversation.
Yes.
I think the AI we know that it is and you mentioned, I don't know if was somebody else I think mentioned about, I was listening to a podcast this morning and they were actually talking about the Gartner's, the Gartner model.
Gartner 9, yeah. 9 human intelligence.
Oh, not the research.
Oh, the research Gartner.
I can't think of the model right now.
Their structure, yeah.
No, it's the model that tells you how technology, how it arrives, how it goes through the different
early adopters, late adopters.
Yeah, early adopters, later adopters.
And so I think that at some point, we were at the scope of inflated expectations, and I think we're now we're about to get into that trough of disillusionment where we really find out what AI is going to, amid all the hype. Now we're going to really discover what really AI can do. And I think that's where the model that you're talking about is not seeing AI within this microcosm of just generative AI and models, but see it on a broader scope of what it can do as we move, as we operate. Because a lot of times it just helps us a lot of times we need manage and perspective. And I think that's what another thing it offers. There's so much data, so much information. That's why AI trumps your traditional database, because it looks at all the data, all the different types of data, and it can search, find, collate, and read it and help you understand it from a perspective that you may not have seen.
I love that perspective. That's a great takeaway. All right, how about you?
I would say with all the tools that AI can bring into the classroom, especially for the teacher, I'm always trying to focus on how can we lighten the workload on teachers and cut certain, and I think an area that is untapped is grading, to where teachers don't spend as much time grading. I want teachers to spend ample amount of time lesson planning and internalizing their lessons, like really thinking of good pedagogical sound ways to engage students and get students to learn at a high level. Once the students do the work and the teacher has to grade it, I want that time to be almost eliminated, to where once the students do the work, and I believe in students doing way more work than they're doing now, but once they do this work, students or teachers are freed from the hours and hours of just grading this work and giving feedback. I want AI to be used as a tool to grade work immediately and give feedback immediately. I think that's a step that really will transform teachers' lives.
From what I'm seeing, I think you're right. I also want to caveat that, in that we need to write a standard, which is what I want to do with the Omni AIs, that actually says, yes, take the work off as much as you can, especially with grading. But what is the point where I needed as an AI to shove this back to the teacher and then let them do it? And here's why. I think when you make a general statement, it's different in every subject, right? It's also different at different ages, what you want to observe about a student. Like, if it's just going to use a multiple choice thing, yes, that AI can mark right, wrong, yes, no, true, false, blah, blah, blah. But you could be in a class and you've had this experience and look across at her and see her face go like this. And you saw that, you caught that, because you weren't stuck in your task taking, right? You were actually being present as a teacher. You saw her little cute face do that, right? And you went, she's stuck on something. Now, she could finish what you gave her to write, and it comes into you, and you're testing it. But you knew she was actually paying attention and effort, and you knew you could fix it. So you went over there and did something.
I don't want the teacher to go over there and do something.
You don't?
No.
But just afterwards, you want her to fix it, no?
Just because she's stuck, I'm like, yes, because that's productive struggle. I want her to be stuck for a while. Now, I noticed that she was stuck, but I don't want to immediately jump in. I want her to do the work.
I see.
I want her to figure out how can I get unstuck.
So if an AI was just going to grade her when she marked it, but you as a human saw that, and she got a low mark and went to the next part of the lesson, she's not going to get unstuck. She's going to be...
I give her feedback. After she receives that low mark.
Okay, so then would you write an AI standard that says the teacher can intervene at this point if they saw something and the AI graded it, gave her and you saw something, the teacher can go back in and go, I'm going to go back in and give her another iteration to work on because I saw her struggle and she could do better.
Gotcha. Here's where we might differ.
Okay.
And a lot of people fuss at me all the time.
Okay.
Let's use the same analogy. Raise your hand. When you, the one that, so I'm making eye contact with you.
I
noticed.
That one over there.
Okay.
That's okay.
I'm talking to her because she always.
You guys are getting in the whole season here now. Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
You're doing a little cameo appearance on camera in a little bit now.
I've done an awesome job teaching. I've done my turn talks, my academic labs. I've done a good job with my instructional technology to make sure that most, if not all of my students are on par. But if I've done a great job, I hope I've built in different parts in this lesson where she's going to struggle and she's going to struggle and she's going to struggle because I know and understand my students and I'm trying to teach on grade level.
Okay.
I know that, she's not on grade level, especially with this specific topic. I want her to struggle. Now, I don't need AI to tell me when to intervene or give me permission to intervene because I built in these lessons where productive struggle is normal. I'm going to intervene in the best way that I know how.
Oh, I see.
In the best way that I know how. And that's not perfect.
I see.
Then I'm going to grade her work. And I'm not going to think in my mind, and this is where we get like empathy messed up. I knew that she struggled with this. I didn't help her. Let me find some way to curve this grade. Let me find some way to give her a second chance. No, I noticed that you struggled. You didn't figure out how to get unstuck on your own. I'm going to reteach this. But that low mark is going to stay a low mark. That's going to teach 2 lessons. Number 1, she has to take ownership of her learning.
I like that.
That's
I
the
know
lesson.
because we talked about agency earlier today. I really agree with that.
That's the lesson she needs to learn. The second lesson is me. What did I do when I first gave or implemented this lesson? What did I do right or wrong that by the end of the school year, she won't continue to struggle with that concept? So I believe in productive struggle. I believe in students getting a ton of work. And I also believe in stepping back and getting out of her way and letting her work. But then also giving her the grade that she earned, the grade that she deserved.
Yeah, because now she's got to work harder.
And the teacher doesn't need AI's
really
permission for that.
Really what you and I are talking about is agency. And we had that whole conversation earlier today.
And resilience.
Agency and resilience are the thing that are going to be critical for the competition of humanity against AI. But we run them in an operation that basically teaches you by the time you graduate, like just wait till the bell rings and then you get to move your feet. Wait till, and we almost soak agency out of people, right? Like they can't, that's what all the employers are saying. It's not just me, right? Like this kid can't think for themselves. This kid can't run themselves. Everything they need to be, I have to tell them everything, right? Like as an employer, I have to tell you, I don't want to hire somebody like that. I want to give you a general gist, like there's the road and the target, that go, right? Like that's what I want to do. If I have to tell you everything all the time, constantly, I'm doing the job, right? I don't want to do it. So as a takeaway, I think I would really want people to get that we need to turn the boat towards real agency. So I like what you said. What do you want to say to all that, Travis?
I would probably say, like I said, I mentioned about resilience. One of the things, I taught music for a number of years, and there are just some things that you have to learn, and foundationally in music for it to work.
Yeah.
When you're learning your scales, you just have to know them, because when it's time to perform, you don't have time to sit here and go, well, what fingering is that for an F sharp? You're in the middle of a concert. You're in the middle of a performance. And the reason that music and the arts are so beneficial is because we have to think we're listening to, we're performing, we're concentrating on our skills, but we're also listening to the whole as we're performing. And so what that has shown in the research is that that's why our neuroplasticity of musicians, and we with technology and spatial thinking is the way it is because what we're taxing the brain, what we're pressing on the brain to do. I'm focusing on myself, but I'm listening to the whole at the same time, and it's that constant interplay of that positioning is where we get that benefit. Well, if I'm never learning my foundational stuff of scales and keys, I'm gonna miss all that.
Yes.
Because I'm too busy trying to figure out what F sharp is. I'm still trying to figure out in the middle of a concert or in the middle of a performance. I'm not, and that's one of the reasons I think in any music competition you're always going to have sight reading, and they're going to give you a sheet of music. They're going to give you a minute to look at it, and then they're going to say perform it. Because at this point, you've got to take everything that you've known about music and what you've experienced of how to read, interpret. You've got to read your scales, keys. You got to look at your tempo. You got to look at the expressions, and you've just had a minute to look at this. So you all of those skills that you've have acquired now are coming into play.
Yes.
And that only comes from practice. You have to. That's what I'm saying from the foundational station. To get away from the issue of knowing your scales and keys, you must spend time in that practice room to build that foundation.
This reminds me of that famous marching band movie with that one kid. Didn't know how to read music. I don't know if you guys remember this movie.
Drumline.
Mm-hmm. Drumline.
Yes.
Love this movie. But he could listen to you and bam, duplicate it right there. I thought, wow, that is some skills. So he had a different level of foundation, but you just went deep into something. Maybe this would be the last point of topic before we wrap it up. We talked a little bit about the difference between what a machine can do, which is data, and actual knowledge. You just pointed out that when we're educating children, we're getting to them a point of knowing, and knowing without data. In other words, not having to think.
Mm-hmm.
You just said knowing without having to think. Because if you had to stop to think, you didn't know where to put your fingers on the right now. Same things with math. If I had to stop to think, how much is this percentage so I can pay my restaurant bill? If I have to do the math and I'm in front of a customer maybe or something like that, I'm not going to do the math. Right? Because it's embarrassing. Right? Knowing is different than learning. Because knowing is just know. It's automatic. It's not thinking, is what you just commented. This is a skill that humans have that machines do not have. So let's make a final comment on actually getting to knowing is our job right now, I think, in teaching and learning. Not perfectly in every single way, but yes, to know is different than learn. Right? Knowing is where we want to go. Because then we have foundational human intelligence as a launch pad.
I think what I hear you saying, knowing versus learning, I'm going to replace knowing with mastery.
Okay.
Correct me if you're thinking no, that's not what I was thinking.
That's fine.
So, of course, we have a typical classroom, we're learning daily. But to emphasize what you said, without that practice, whether that's independent practice, whether it's deliberate practice, or just homework practice, the repetitions or the at-bats is what take the learning to mastery. So just to finalize what you said earlier, yes, you want to show up to certain events. You use math as an example. I don't want to be calculating math, simple math, foundational math, every single time I'm doing math. Some of this stuff has to become automatic. Same thing with reading. The difference between comprehension and just reading words is I've read so much that it's easy for me to read. I'm not trying to figure out the words or the sentences. I just can read, therefore I can comprehend. I've learned that so much so that it's mastered. I know how to read with mastery. I think that's what we have to challenge our students in all subject matter, whether it's music, whether it's math, whether it's literacy. We have to get them to a point to where mastery is the expectation. Yeah. And the only way we can do that, we're still looking for magic teaching tools. It's not magic. The way do we get students to mastery? The only way is with practice. They have to practice and do the work. And I challenged you earlier, how can we get students to do the work without somebody standing over their shoulder? Maybe it has to be something that's competitive. whether it's self-competition
Yeah.
or competitions that we build within the classroom and within the school. But we have to get students invested in their own practice.
Yeah, building themselves.
Mm-hmm. Taylor?
Yeah, final comment. Travis.
Well,
This is fun, right? This is we just totally put him on the spot, but it's super fun.
well, I would have to say, well, I'm gonna, and this is gonna seem like I'm playing to the audience, but I think that we have so many conversations about literacy that we stop talking about reading.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's true, isn't it?
You know,
like,
it's
is that not
we,
so
we,
true? Like,
we,
literacy,
but
the
you know,
governors are talking about it.
you have to, you know, your ability to read is the ability to take all of this information. Literacy is not just about reading; it is about taking the information, discerning it, putting it into place, Socratic thinking, all these things to interpret what's going on in the page or to understand where you're coming from. And we're teaching kids how to think about reading and all the rules of reading, and a lot of times, but we're not. But at the end of the day, we're not reading. I had
that's ridiculous. That's like scary ridiculous, right?
I had a professor in college who I always wanted to do arranging, and I always tend to get too much focused on the theory of stuff and the theory of how to do this with the structure of the sound and the music. And he goes, if you want to be an arranger, just go arrange. He said, if you want to do it, then basically it goes back to the practice. You've got to practice, and I don't think we practice our output. That we don't practice what we're going. We're constantly shooting for something, but we're never practicing for it. We're learning how to practice for it, but not really doing the work. So we're talking about literacy. We're talking about all the rules of reading, but we just got to read. A lot of times it's just go read.
Yeah, just go read.
And we're missing because we're missing that human factor. We're missing the love of reading. We're missing what we can get that the technology can't give us.
Yeah.
Because now, reading can be healing.
Oh yeah.
By me reading certain things, I can go back and then rework things in my life, trauma, things I didn't have that perspective on because I read someone else's story.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get that by thinking about the rules of reading. I just need to read.
Yeah, I think what we don't sell it enough. Everyone in this room is a former teacher, right? We're academic. We use high fine language to impress each other and ourselves. The word literacy is an impressive word.
Mm-hmm.
What we really mean is, were you in the story? Can you see yourself in the story? Were you the knight? Were you the guy with the wizard's hat? Well, who are you in the story? Because if you can live a story, you can live a second life, and you can see other people's viewpoints too, right? And all of a sudden, your life has just went poof, 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 exponentially bigger. Because it's not just you now, you're living multiple lives. And you live multiple lives with books. And that's a huge freedom to give people. I mean, it's just amazing amount of freedom. And little kids see it all the time. They're like, Mom, Dad, read me the story, right? And they don't want you to stop. Well, don't stop. I think is what you're saying. Don't stop. Don't ever stop.
And just to tie this back into what we were saying, though, about the human portion, is just that with the AI, then we can see ourselves as a independent agent that's working with the AI and not being dominated by the AI. We keep our humanity with the AI and not become an agent of the. See, if we're not careful, we'll become an agent of the AI.
I think we already are a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that you said that.
Speak for yourself. I'm not an agent.
Not you, Maurice. Well, you've been fabulous.
Good job.
Dr. Maurice Guest Jr., Little Rock IC, and Dr. Travis Taylor. It's good to have you both. This has been awesome. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you.